welcome back to the KSSR space program. So now we are going to take some of the science that we have accumulated, and I think we're relatively good on the technology we need at this point. However, there are a few more of these that I'm eager to get, so we're going to research a couple of these. And we're going to have to go up into level 3 to start getting some of those larger, more important technologies. And in order to do that, we're going to need some more money. Minor detail. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go through here, see what we got for contracts. We got Duna 2. We can send something to orbit Duna and transmit science. That'll be easy. We've got Evara 2. I've got plans for this one, so we will definitely do that. Just orbit Eve and transmit some science. And we've got RKS. We've got Jool. Oh, look at this. All right, so all we got to do is launch a probe to Jool and transmit some science, and that'll get us an absolutely ridiculous amount of money. And dress is a little bit of a pain in the butt, but a similar idea. I'm going to skip on that one for right now. We've got more flag planting. Those are comparatively small. Rendezvous 2 in orbit of the moon, and we've done some of that. So for right now, we're going to go with these probes. And thankfully, I already have some useful probes. Look at that. There's a good useful probe. And as a matter of fact, I think I've already got a version of the probe for Eve that will work. So for at least Eve and Duna. So I'm going to launch this. And I'm going to do these probes. I'm literally just going to be launching 3 of like this exact same probe. Assuming actually, you know what? Let me think for just a second. 61 gajillion miles. Yeah, I think that's probably as far as I'm going to get. Is this larger one? Well, we'll see. Yeah, that should get me there, I think. Well, all right, maybe I'll do a one-off for Jool. But so I'm going to launch 2 of basically this exact same probe, 1 to Eve, 1 to Duna. So I'm going to montage through this for you, because these are going to be exactly the same mission as we've seen a couple of times before. Okay, so we did a couple of quick contracts to throw some probes out to Eve and Duna, and we have gotten ourselves a whole bunch of money. Oops. A whole bunch of money. So we're going to go ahead and upgrade our R&D facility, and we've got a bunch of science, so we can grab a few different bits of science here. And I have a few specific things that I'm going to be looking for. That's actually a really important one. A few of these others are also very important. What do we want to go for? Yeah, this is all more parts. Oh, yeah, we definitely want this. And we're definitely going to want this. So now we're going to be saving up for some of these other really heavy lifting and whatnot science advances. But for right now, we are going to do our probe to Jool. Now, let me find it. Oh, an EVA in solar orbit. I haven't done that yet. I can do that too. All right. Now, in reality, the Soviets never launched any deep space probes out into the outer solar system. They had some like papered project designs for some long distance probes. I think it was the Ziolovsky probe. But in reality, they never actually launched any of them. So I'm going to try and design something that looks Soviet-ish, and we'll kind of see what we get. Okay, so this is a good probe core that I've sort of loosely based off of the Vega probes, which was a mission that was sent out to Halley's Comet. And we've stuck a big chunky satellite dish on the top, and that's just there to make sure that we've got the long-range communications we need to be able to actually control this thing when we get it out to Jool. So now we're going to actually design a mission with it. Okay, so we're using our large N1 stack to send this on its way. It's a little bit of overkill, but I'm not super confident that the neutron booster, even with a good trans stage like we've got, would have quite enough delta V to get it to Jool. So even though this doubled the cost, I would rather double the cost and be 100% sure of a mission success than have to launch it twice for the same cost or a similar cost, if you see what I'm getting at there. So let's send Julian 1 here on its way to Jool. Alright, so we've made it to Jool, and you may have noticed me clicking around there. What I was doing, I was checking on my comms network. I was a little worried that I might have forgotten to upgrade the tracking center back at the Kerbal Space Center, but turns out that I remembered, and we're just having trouble because we're really far away, keeping that signal back to control our Julian 1 probe here. And it ended up being a very good thing that I opted to use the larger dish there. All right, good. We're in orbit. So that's step 1. Now, step 2 is going to be to actually transmit some science. Now, the good news is we're going to be able to get a ridiculous amount of science from all this stuff that we're going to transmit back. And we probably already completed, that contract, which is going to give us a ridiculous amount of money. So I'm really excited about that. And I also noticed, coincidentally, look at where Elu is in its orbit. Like, we could have actually sent this to Elu, because Elu's, like, right down, really in the most advantageous part of its orbit in terms of getting an intercept. So, oh well, missed opportunity. But now we can go through and do a whole bunch of science out of our little science array part. Very convenient little part that we researched. Contains a whole bunch of these experiments on it. Oh, and we already got that one, but that's fine. We'll wait for that to transmit and head back to our Kerbal Space Center. Alright, look at that. Alright, we got some milestones. Oh, yeah! 1.875 million. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we like to see. Alright. Back to the Space Center. So we should be able to get a significant amount of extra science now. And I have another probe mission in mind. I'm curious if I'm going to have a contract for it yet. So we'll check that out after. All right, we got 800. It's not quite going to be enough to get ultimate lifting, which we definitely want. Or advanced space planes, which we will eventually want. We can get some good stuff with this. Yeah, some of these other high-end techs are also very good to get. Not super essential for this playthrough. Like, there's a good part right there, but... Alright, anyway. Alright, let's check and see... Alright, Jool 2. Well, we already did that. Yeah, there we go. We got missions to Elu and stuff. Not going to bother with that. I am looking for a contract to see about sending a probe to land on Eve. So give me just a moment. I'm just going to cycle through a whole bunch of these contracts real quick. Well, it looks like there isn't actually a contract for what I thought there was. Huh. Interesting. Oh well. All right, well, in any case, I am going to be sending... I need a big boost to my science. And you know where a really good place to get a whole bunch of really chunky science is? Landing on Eve. So I am going to send a probe to go land on Eve, and I'm going to be using our Julian 1 mission as a little bit of a template, except we don't need all this chunky stuff. So we're going to be using this as a bit of a template for our mission. So let's go ahead and build that. Okay, we have assembled our Ivara 3 mission, and if this works, we should be able to send a probe to go survive entry into Eve's atmosphere and land on the surface and transmit a bunch of science back. I based this design on one of the real-life Venera missions, so we'll see what happens, and we'll send this on its way. Okay, so we have our intercept lined up with Eve. And from here, it's actually going to be a little important how we do this. I'm going to have to tweak this intercept so that we enter Eve and enter its sphere of influence with a very low approach. And you'll understand why when we get there, because I have to deposit this into the atmosphere and then still have some delta V to stabilize the orbit in this upper stage. And I've been going for a while here, so I'm actually going to take a quick break. I will be back in just a minute. Okay, I'm back and all refreshed. So what I'm going to have to do here, I'm going to have to use a trick that is going to look familiar if you watched my my mostly stock career playthrough. I am going to focus my view on Eve, and I'm going to start making a whole bunch of very minor course corrections in different directions to try and get my periapsis really low. Alright, so it looks like we can get going like this, and this may take me a little trial and error, so... I don't have RCS, so I have to do all this with main engine. Whoop, wrong way. And again, you know, if I was playing to try and get like optimal results, you know, if I was planning my orbits and everything more carefully, you'd be seeing me do a lot more of this kind of stuff. Whoa, more than I wanted. Now, of course, the downside is when I enter Eve's sphere of influence, I'm going to be coming in really fast. Okay. Yeah, this is... Man, all right, yeah, that'll do it. It's gonna be a little hairy, but that'll work. All right, so, and again, because I don't remember the stupid hotkey to refocus my view, I'm just gonna go back to the tracking center real quick, and then rezoom over to our Evera 3 probe. Okay. So we have entered Eve's sphere of influence. Now this is where things are going to get a bit tricky. We're going to be going really fast when we get down to our periapsis. Now the good news is Eve's atmosphere will be more than happy to give us an absolutely enormous amount of atmospheric drag for slowing down our entry probe. So that's good. However, just in order to get into an orbit, we have to bleed off an enormous amount of speed here. So we're going to go ahead and do this. And we're going to see how low I can get my orbit. Okay, good. We entered orbit at all. That is a good start. All right, let me warp here. Okay, this actually ended up working a lot better than I expected. That's not bad. Now, the problem is I really didn't want to come in on the night side, so I'm going to see if I can pull some shenanigans here and time it so that my entry into the atmosphere will be on the light side. And if not, what I will probably do, honestly, is just wait a year or 6 months. Okay, this will probably actually work. Now, I'm going to wait for a couple of these probes to be in good positions. Alright, that actually probably would have worked, but I'll just wait. Now, here's a catch. I have not actually used this spherical re-entry heat shield for this purpose before. This will actually be my first time using that part. So this may end catastrophically. I may land in the explodium seas. Eve has liquid oceans on the surface. So I don't really know what to expect. Oh, and I'm gonna crank in insurance just for good measure. Now, what I'm going to do a maneuver here. I'm going to dip my periapsis down into Eve's atmosphere. Pretty low. Maybe like 50,000 meters. Then I'm going to release the probe. And then restore my orbit. Alright, so my periapsis is really low. So let me check my staging. Alright, that'll release the probe. So now here, I'm just gonna get out of the way. I am gonna restore my orbit. So that our probe bus here won't enter the atmosphere. Okay, and now I have to conserve all the electricity I can. Oh boy. Alright, here we go. Moment of truth. I have absolutely no idea if this is going to work. As I said, it is my first time using this particular set of parts. This spherical heat shield. I really like the idea of it, but I just don't have any frame of reference for how this thing is actually going to work in practice. Okay, we're good. We've got our speed down enough where we are on a litho braking trajectory, which is kind of what we wanted. The million-dollar question is going to be whether or not we come in over water. I'm sorry, not water. Like liquid rocket fuel, explodium, or if we come in over land. So that'll be, I don't know, pray to the Kraken. And we got plenty of ablator. The heat shield is healthy. That worked extremely well. I'm very happy with the performance of these parts. If you're interested in this spherical heat shield, the parts for that come from the Tantares mod. I think that particular one is Tantares SP. It says we are above the lowlands flying low. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we're not coming in over liquid. And our velocity has slowed quite a bit because the atmosphere is very dense. So I am going to go ahead and try to jettison the heat shield. Right, there goes the top part. Goes the bottom part. Oh, there we go. This might be an issue. We're kind of stuck. We're kind of stuck on our heat shield there. Uh-oh. Let's try and rock around a little bit and see if it shake it up. There we go. Okay. That was almost a serious problem. All right, let's see what we can get for science from Eve's atmosphere. And again, electricity is going to be tight. We've got a little mini RTG on here, but it'll take quite a while to actually recover that power. I'm getting some really good science. Oh, we can't get a gravity scan or an accelerometer. That's expected. Cosmic ray. All right, we got that. No need for those particular diminishing returns. Thermometer, got that. Accelerometer, can't do that. Barometer, already got it. Let's check our camera. No diminishing returns. Okay. Okay. We are going to land this thing on the surface of Eve. I am going to speed up a little bit here. How about that? We have landed on the surface of Eve. Outstanding. And, in real life, the Soviets had the Venera series of probes to Venus that were highly successful. And that's relative, right? I mean, space is hard. A lot of early probe missions back in, like, the 50s through the 80s failed spectacularly, and even some of the more recent ones. So they lost a bunch of their Venera probes through trial and error, but once they got like the basic design and the mission profile down, they got these things going pretty good. They actually returned the first pictures from the surface of Venus, the only pictures, I believe, from the surface of Venus. Got all kinds of atmospheric science and surface science done. I mean, they were really, really successful probes. So we've kind of recreated that here with the same basic design. And we are returning an enormous amount of science here from the surface. And this is going to give us a relatively good boost to our science. And I think we already got... Yeah, we're into diminishing returns now. And I think most of these... Yeah, the diminishing returns for most of these experiments are going to be very minor. But, you know, it occurs to me that because of our steep re-entry and everything, I failed to collect some science from the upper atmosphere. So I'm actually going to do something a little wasteful. After this is done transmitting here, there we go. And I'm extremely happy with how this turned out. This was very good. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over to Evaro 3 here, which, if you remember, was our orbital probe bus. And I am going to put this on an entry trajectory to burn up in the atmosphere. And I'm going to try and send as much science as I can from the upper atmosphere before it disintegrates. So I'm going to speed up a little bit so that I can get this on an orbital position, like right about here, where it'll be able to relay off of Evaro 1. So I think Eve's upper atmosphere starts at about 100,000 meters. So I'm going to dip down. There we go. And I don't think I'm going to be able to save this. I mean, maybe, but it's low priority. All right, I'm going to save, and from here, I'm just going to be time warping very slowly until our situation is flying high. And that way we can return a whole bunch of science. There we go. All right. Now I got to be quick. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Transmit, transmit. Transmit quickly. Come on, come on. All right, did I already get... Oh. We're losing parts. Transmit. Transmit. Okay, I think we got everything we could. Okay. Well, our little part there has done its job. We're gonna almost certainly lose him in the atmosphere. Let me see if I can try and rescue it. I doubt it. Yeah. Yep. That's fine. That's fine. It did its job. We returned an enormous amount of surface science with our lander. And we got some atmospheric science with our probe bus before it blew up. So I'm going to call that a success. Let's load back in here and see what we got for returns. All right, we are sitting on 1,300 science. That's not bad. That is going to be enough to get us ultimate lifting, which is very important. So make sure to check out the next episode and see what's next for the KSSR space program.